Let's react to the AP Top 25 heading into a pivotal Week 7. And off the rip, what the hell is Alabama doing here at number 7? You lost to Vanderbilt. You lost to Vanderbilt. It's a great story, and I love the story. But you lost to Cornelius. Not Kirby, not Dan, not Sark. Cornelius. Not Rodney, not Carl Lee, Haley, not Shadrach. Cornelius. You lost to Cornelius. That has to matter. It's why I have Alabama at number 14. And honestly, the loss to Vanderbilt makes Georgia's loss to Bama look worse because check this out, man. Vanderbilt lost to Missouri and Georgia State, right? Missouri lost to Texas A&M. Texas A&M lost to Notre Dame. Notre Dame lost to directional Illinois. This has to matter. And it feels like we've already started the process of ranking brands and not ranking teams based on what their best win is or their best or their worst loss is. And this is still a sport where having a good loss absolutely matters. Do I think it's asinine? Yes, but you have to factor that in. It's also the reason why Texas gets to benefit from the college football playoff axiom, which is anybody can get their ass beat, right? That's what we're learning as we get into the 12-team field. Everybody can get beat, and Texas moves to number 1 off of being idle. But I got Ohio State in that spot. They got Ohio State at number 2. They got Oregon at number 3. I think 2 versus 3 here is for the number 1 ranking on October 13th. Oklahoma is at least as good as Arkansas because if Oklahoma had started Michael Hawkins, the Warhawk, maybe we don't turn the ball over. If Oklahoma don't turn the ball over, maybe they beat Tennessee because the Tennessee team that played against Arkansas looked a lot like the team that played against Oklahoma. And now they paid for it. Shout out to Arkansas, though, because they actually were able to pull that thing off and get that 19-14 victory. Penn State at number 4 feels like Missouri at number 9 last week. They're there, but they ain't beat nobody. And we don't particularly think that they're that great. And the USC team that they were going to play ain't even in the top 25 anymore. They got bounced after losing to Minnesota. But somehow Michigan is still in the top 25, which also is asinine because they got bounced by Washington and Texas. And I think that's why they're trying to put them in the top 25 because they want that Texas win to mean something. But it doesn't anymore. It's another reason why I put Ohio State in that spot. Number 5, Georgia, fine, I guess. But you lost to Bama, who lost to Vanderbilt. Okay? I can't help with that. Miami at number 6 here feels like they're on borrowed time, man. This is back-to-back weeks where they have left it to the end to try to make a comeback. And yeah, they came back from 18 points down on the road against Cal to win that game. But there's nothing about that Miami team that says it's a national championship caliber football team. Cam Ward is a Heisman caliber player. Xavier Restrepo probably ends up a Biletnikoff Award finalist. And they finally started handing the ball to Damian Martinez. But when you're getting worked by Fernando Mendoza, you're not very good. You're not very good. When Virginia Tech has you dead to rights, the same Virginia Tech that lost to Vanderbilt, what are you doing here at number 6, except that you're undefeated and perhaps going to play in the conference championship against what we think is going to be a pretty great Clemson team if everything works out. Again, 7, Bama, get out of here. Tennessee at 8, sure, I'll live with it, right? Arkansas is a good football team. The schedule that they played is good. NC State was right when they played them. So was Oklahoma, who's still very much in this top 25. Then you get Ole Miss at 9, who had a really great win defensively against South Carolina. Pete Golden finally put together a defense. They had 2 turnovers. They had 6 sacks. They had 10 tackles for loss. They held South Carolina to 3 points. Clemson at number 10 here. Their loss to Georgia looks even worse because they lost by 31 to Georgia. Georgia lost to Bama. Bama lost to Vanderbilt. Just not a good look here, but still probably going to play for the ACC title. Iowa State at number 11 here. 5-0. That feels like the most slept-on team in all of college football right now. And for good reason. I mean, it's Iowa State, and we haven't seen them do much except in the Matt Campbell era. But this is a team that just a few years ago won the Fiesta Bowl with Brock Purdy and unanimous All-American in tailback Breece Hall. Number 11 for a tie, Notre Dame. Notre Dame. They lost to directional Illinois. They put the money in the bag. How are they number 11? How are they tied with an undefeated Iowa State? The A&M win? Is that what you... Get out of here, man. Get out of here. LSU at 11. They got a big one against Ole Miss later this week that we're going to talk about all throughout this week. BYU 5-0. Would it be wild if BYU and Iowa State were playing for the automatic qualifying bid as a highest ranked conference champion in the Big 12 championship? Wild indeed. Number 15, A&M. Good win against Missouri. They still got the loss to Notre Dame. Notre Dame got the loss to Northern Illinois. Utah is got one loss, but somehow remains in the top 25 when that ranked win they have is against the Oklahoma State team that has spit up all over themselves since then and damn near lost to Arkansas, right? Maybe you're thinking Arkansas beat Tennessee, so maybe Utah's pretty good. But Oklahoma State, they beat Arkansas. Are they pretty good? Boise State, 4-1. They got Ashton Jeanty, who going to be the Heisman runner-up because they're not going to give him the award. Talk about that a little bit later on the live show tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. By the way, if you're here, subscribe to the channel. We just went over 113,000 subscribers, trying to get to 114 by the time we get to the live show on Tuesday. We can do it if you just stop what you're doing right quick and hit that subscribe button. Kansas State at number 18. They got a big game at Folsom against Colorado. I'm excited about that one. Travis Hunter ought to win the Heisman Trophy, but Avery Johnson can put Kansas State back on the good foot, marching toward the Big 12 title. They hope, right? Indiana, 6-0. First bowl eligible team, also tied at 18 with Oklahoma. 3 18s here. So if Oklahoma, Indiana, and Kansas State played each other, who's going to win that game? It's a very interesting question. What is deflating to me as an OU person is that I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. The offense that Oklahoma has is pretty much non-existent. And all Indiana has been doing this year is scoring. Kansas State can't call it, man. They look like world beaters against Arizona and then got the brakes beat off of them by BYU. It's a fair fight. I'm not mad about 18 here being tied and 2 11s being tied. Missouri at 21. Sure. Fine. It's Missouri. It's a journalism school. They got pantsed and pasted. Texas A&M caught a tiger by his toe, and if he squeals, he put him in the figure four. That's how that worked. Pittsburgh is undefeated, 5-0 for the first time since 1991. Eli Holstein is dealing. I said that Cade was going to show up to Pittsburgh with this offense that was high-powered at the lower division, and that's exactly what it's turned out to be. Good win against UNC, but UNC also got 70 dropped on them by James Madison. Illinois, 2 ranked wins, 4-1. Their only loss is to number 4 Penn State. It's a good ranking for them, 23. Michigan at 24 here. I don't get it. They lost to Texas. Okay, that's the number 1 team in the country. They also lost to USC, who's not even ranked, right? So if you're going to have a 2-loss team in here between Michigan and USC, it ought to be USC. It should not be Michigan. Michigan lost to Washington, and Minnesota beat USC, but Minnesota would have beaten Michigan last week if the refs didn't botch an onside kick call. I don't get this one. I don't like it. 25, we got SMU. Great win to go into this weekend looking like an ACC contender. They beat a ranked Louisville who's no longer here. I think SMU could find themselves crashing the gates for the ACC championship depending on what happens to Miami and Clemson along the way. USC at 98, they're basically number 26. Nebraska at 27. Navy at 28. I got Navy at 25. They're also 5-0, like Army is 5-0. Vanderbilt getting 26 points off the number 1 ranked win. Arkansas getting 17. Washington State getting 8. Iowa getting 8. Texas Tech getting 7. Syracuse getting 6. Washington getting 4. Louisville getting 4. Colorado getting 3. Kentucky getting 1. Sure. I think right now we're in a good spot, except this Alabama thing. They are ranked twice as high as I think they should be. There's a lot of other teams that didn't lose to Vanderbilt on this list, and I would like to see those teams that didn't lose to Vanderbilt a little bit higher in the rankings. I also think when we're getting down to it, it's the most improbable upset in college football history. Honestly, it really is. And now Vanderbilt is a football school, but Alabama, that defense sucks. I thought it was great, and then because they turned over Georgia, but then they gave up. They gave up 34 unanswered. Kane Womack, enjoy being the main character this week as everybody calls into their local radio station to say, either if you're an Alabama fan, fire this man, or if you're not an Alabama fan, why haven't they fired that man? It's not going to be fun to be Alabama's defensive coordinator going into next week. Also ahead of the OU Texas, the Red River Shootout, we get the number 18 team versus the number 1 team. It's going to matter. It always matters. I know the records are the records, but we're already getting to the part of the program where RJ's blood pressure is about to go through the roof because this game does it to me every single year. The last few years, it's been a thriller, save the 49-0 stomping. I expect something similar with Quinn Ewers returning from injury to go play in this thing. It looks like Michael Hawkins is going to get his first start in the Red River rivalry this weekend, along with Ohio State, Oregon. Ohio State going to an Oregon team that is really tough to beat in Autzen. And then also we get the Colorado game Travis Hunter versus that Kansas State football team that I think is going to try to run it. Got Dylan Edwards on the other side. LSU, Ole Miss. This is a great weekend for college football, and I'm so excited to talk with you about it.